We're reading Likutei Moharan, Lesson 1, Part 2. So Lesson 1, Part 1 was all about empowering and giving charm to our prayers by studying Torah. And then Lesson 1.2 is about studying Torah with enthusiasm to empower the Malchut of the Shekhinah in the world. Okay, for the Jew, we must always focus on the inner intelligence of every matter, and bind himself to the wisdom and inner intelligence that is to be found in each thing. This, so that the intelligence which is in each thing may be enlightened him, that he may draw closer to Hashem through that thing. For the inner intelligence is a great light that shines for a person in all his ways, as it is written, "A person's wisdom causes his countenance to shine." Rebbe Nachman writes that the concept of looking deeply in the inner intelligence found in every aspect of creation is very profound. Each creation has a chitzoniut, an external wisdom or logic, and a pnimiut, an internal wisdom or logic. Man's goal should be to understand all of creation by means of this inner intelligence, the godliness found in it, and thus Rebbe Nachman emphasizes is only possible through the Torah. And by means of the Torah, it is possible to free oneself of the physical desire and attachment to that dim one's ability to perceive the spiritual. As Rebbe Nachman explains further in this lesson, only through Torah can a person control his materialistic desires and subdue his evil characteristics. This is the concept of Yaakov, for Yaakov merited the rights of the firstborn, which is the Reshit, the beginning. The concept of wisdom, as in, the Reshit is wisdom. This corresponds to he obstructed me. These two times, which Onkelos renders, he outwitted me. So it's talking about when Esav, he cried out Yaakoveni, these two times. Thus, we see that Yaakov was the personification of wisdom. So basically, anybody who seeks the intelligence hidden within each thing corresponds to Yaakov, by virtue of the wisdom he attains. And this is the concept of the sun, for the inner intelligence shines for him in all his ways, like the sun. This corresponds to the path of the righteous, is like a radiant sunlight, shining ever brighter as it approaches noon. Again, the sun parallels the concept of Yaakov, wisdom in the firstborn. The verse quoted in the text of Proverbs shows the connection between the sun and the inner intelligence. Also in the Ma'al HaNachal quotes the Midrashic teaching that Yaakov is himself the sun. In relating his dreams to his brothers, Yosef said, "I just had another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars." When Yaakov heard this, he wondered, "Who told Yosef that my name is the sun?" This was the reason why Yaakov took his son's dream seriously. And by means of his dream, Yosef had to come to know that Yaakov is the sun, and the true inner intelligence that guides a person upon the right path. Yaakov was thus certain that the dream would come true. And the concept of the chet, it suggests the chiyut, life, for the wisdom of the inner intelligence and the vitality of all things, as in, the wisdom gives life to those who possess it. However, because the light of the inner intelligence is so very great, it is impossible to attain except through the concept of the nun, which is the aspect of Malchut, which is kingship. Malchut is the lowest of the Sfirot, is indicative of the limitation and constriction. Because the light of the inner intelligence is so great, it is only possible to observe and incorporate it by a degree, through the aspect of Malchut, which corresponds to the letter Nun. As it is written, may his name be perpetuated as long as the sun. And Rashi explains that this means kingship. Hashem is infinite, so the closest thing for us to really kind of grasp the idea of Hashem is kingship. That's like a king is like the highest view that we can relate Hashem to in this world. But really Hashem is unfathomable. But Malchut, which is kingship, that's like the lowest of the Sfirot. So in the creation of time, Hashem, there was a simtsum, there was a shattering of the vessels, and that was the creation of evil in the world. So those shattering of the vessels created the klipot in the world. And Since then Hashem created the Sfirot, which Hashem filters His light through the Sfirot to bring it down to this world. And Malchut is the lowest of those Sfirot. So it says that the Malchut of the Shekhinah, which rests on the proper side, then Hashem's flow is coming to this world in its proper way. Because of the deeds of the Jewish people, then that Malchut of the Shekhinah, it rests on the other side. So basically that all of the flow that's constantly coming down, we have to go to the other side to retrieve it for us. So that's the way that manifests is like if it's very difficult to find to make a livelihood or to bring like we have to go to the other side to like the world of Teva to bring Parnasa for ourselves and our families. This is also the concept of the moon. The moon has no light of its own, only that which she receives from the sun, and this corresponds to Malchut. It has nothing of its own rather than what it receives from the Chet, the aspect of wisdom in the sun. As a result, the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. However, the person who does not bind himself to the inner intelligence, the wisdom, the vitality that is in each thing corresponds to Esav. Basically, those who see the world and see everything for face value, they are looking through seeing the world as in the Teva way that Hashem conceals Himself in the world, and they just attribute everything to happenstance and attribute everything to the natural order of things. He despised the birthright, as it is written, and Esav despised the rights of the firstborn, the inner intelligence. This is, the fool does not desire understanding, but only to bear his heart. And this corresponds to the kingship of evil, to the moon of the other side, of which it is said, the moon shall be disgraced. This is the concept of the good and evil inclination. The good inclination is called poor and wise, corresponding to Malchut, which is the aspect of poor and needy, with nothing of its own other than what she receives from the Chachma, wisdom. But the evil inclination is called an old and foolish Melech. This is the Malchut of the other side, who has no desire for wisdom and inner intelligence, as in, the fool does not desire understanding. Each person is required to give strength to the kingdom of holiness, that is, that it may overpower the kingdom of the other side. As our sages taught, a person should always incite the good inclination against the evil one. And how is strength given to the kingship of holiness? By the means of the Torah study that a person engages with enthusiasm. If somebody learns in a happy way, then they are empowering the Malchut of the Shekhinah, and they're diminishing the power of the other side in this world. And as our sages taught, if this rogue accosts you, drag him to the house of study. So if the Yetzer Hara is really working on a person, then they should bring that Yetzer Hara and they should bring it to the Beit Midrash to learn. For it is by means of the Torah that strength is given to the kingdom of holiness. Then the Malchut, the Nun, receives vitality from Chachma, the Chet. The Chet and the Nun are joined and bound together. As a result, the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. The Rebbe Nachman explains that studying Torah with enthusiasm gives strength to the Malchut of holiness, which in turn enables a person to focus on the wisdom in each aspect of creation. When he does this, a person unites the Malchut of Chachma and the spiritual element of that matter. So the Chet and the Nun join are bound together, and Rebbe Nachman adds that this alludes to why the Jewish people had to wait 50 days after leaving Egypt before they could receive the Torah. The Torah is Chachma, the divine wisdom. Due to its exalted nature, it can only be received through the Nun, the 50 days from the Exodus until Revelation. When Rebbe Nachman gave this lesson, he advised his followers to be sure to study Torah. When the followers later complained that he couldn't fully understand his studies, Rebbe Nachman said, "Force yourself to study even with an unclear understanding, and you'll see things eventually will become clear." So basically this, like the old saying that you learn, first you study without the proper intentions, and then the proper intentions will come to you. So even if you're not enthusiastic in the beginning, just start, just go ahead and start, and then eventually, hopefully, you'll get to that point where you're doing it with enthusiasm. And when the one rises and the other falls, thus the kingdom of evil falls and is nullified, as it is written, "The ways of Hashem are upright, and the righteous walk in them, whereas the sinners stumble in them." That is, by means of the way of Hashem, the Torah and the righteous who adhere to the kingdom of holiness are fortified and receive strength, whereas the sinners stumble in them, corresponding to the kingdom of evil, the evil inclination, which falls and is humbled by the means of the Torah as above. So basically, lesson 1.2, it's all about, because of the Jewish people's sins, we're empowering the Malchut, the kingship of the evil side in the world. So to combat this evil side, which is really like the klipot, the sitra da'achra, those things have power because the Jewish people are sinning. So if you want to combat those evil forces, we have to study Torah with enthusiasm, and that is going to bring the malchut back on the proper side, and it's going to help us not only fight the forces of evil, but also overcome our Yetzer Hara by studying Torah with enthusiasm.